So welcome to today's episode. One of my all-time favorite quotes is, "The chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken." A person's habits, those behaviors which they always repeat, they're like trains on a railway track. And the longer they're on those tracks, the more momentum they have. So you've got to be really careful about which actions you allow to become deeply ingrained habits in your life. Now, by the way, in this video, I'm not going to tell you what the right habits are for you. And I really don't like when social media gurus talk about what habits you should and shouldn't have. And they're telling you that you shouldn't be watching so much Netflix, or you're not getting up early enough to hustle. Fact is, if you're happy with your output right now, then great, you don't need to change any of your habits. But if you're complaining about the lack of results in your life, yet you're still spending 2 hours a day mindlessly scrolling through Facebook and Instagram, then you've got habits which need to be changed. What you consciously repeat for long enough will soon become partly unconscious. You won't question doing it so much and it will feel natural. So for example, fitness. I have a pretty decent habit around fitness. I do about 30 minutes a day, which is nothing too extreme, but that's a good habit that I have these days. And I didn't always have that habit. There was a time where I used to really struggle to do it and I never exercised at all, but now I make time. I do it every morning. If you repeat an action enough times, well, the thought process is no longer about finding reasons for not doing the action. It's about finding a way to fit it in and prioritize it. It's now on autopilot. And all these small actions and choices that you make throughout the day, they turn into habits which are responsible for all results in your life. Warren Buffett talks about this. From a young age, he developed the habit of reading financial statements. And still to this day, many decades later, in an age of complete distraction, he sits in his office alone, no phone going off, no constantly checking social media or anything like that. And he's got that habit of constantly searching for new opportunities.
How do you keep up with all the media and information that goes on in our crazy world and in your world of Berkshire Hathaway? What's your media routine?
I just read and read and read. I probably read 5 to 6 hours a day. I don't read as fast now as when I was younger, but I read 5 daily newspapers. I read a fair number of magazines. I read 10Ks. I read annual reports, and I read a lot of other things too.
So here's the deal. If you have bad habits that are holding you back, like you eat too much junk food, or you spend too much time on social media, or you waste too much time chit-chatting with people about nothing, then how do you change those habits? The worst thing you could do is try to derail the train when it's in motion. That rarely works because there's way too much momentum. The only time it works is if you have extreme conditions, extreme accountability with big rewards and consequences involved. Like someone who's a few hundred pounds overweight, right? And they've never been able to lose the weight. They've always struggled to eat right and exercise. And then they go on some national TV show about losing weight and they feel like the whole world is watching. Well, now they have accountability. Now they have the right environment. Now they have the pressure, everyone's watching, and they're able to lose the weight once and for all. But usually when you're trying to change one of your habits, you don't have that sort of environment. So instead, what you do is you add another set of tracks which is slightly off course. You replace the habit with something similar but better for you. So for example, let's say that you snack on chocolate every night, right? And you've been doing this for a very long time, and then you suddenly try to stop. It's very hard to do. You might be able to do it for a few days, but soon you're back to the old habit. So what do you do instead? You replace the chocolate with much healthier dark chocolate. Doesn't taste quite as good, but it's better for you. And there's still that similar reward. You get to have chocolate. So you do that for 30 days. And then you replace that habit with an even healthier food, like nuts and sultanas or something like that. 30 days later, you then replace it with something healthier again, say a fruit smoothie. 30 days later, then a healthy tea. So you're still consuming something at night which tastes good and it's much better for you, but now you've changed the habit. So here's another example. Let's say you spend way too much time on social media because you've got to look down at your phone and distract yourself because sometimes you feel bored. So you start to log out of all those social media apps, Facebook, Instagram, all of them. You log out and then you open up Notes, right? So then that way, when you are tempted to look down at your phone, The extra step of having to log in reminds you not to do it. You'll still sometimes do it, but instead you start to train yourself to go to notes, and then you start to write down your ideas, your projects, things that are going to move you closer towards achieving your goals. That's what I do. I keep all my ideas in notes. So by doing it that way, rather than trying to completely stop that habit, which you've been doing for so long, looking down at your phone, distracting yourself, getting that little rush of dopamine by scrolling and tapping, now we start to replace it with something which is far more productive and useful for your long term. So it's a much better habit. So really think about what habits you have. Are they serving you long term? And if you need to make some adjustments, that's the best way. Don't try and stop them completely. Don't try and start a whole new habit completely from scratch. Take existing habits and make little alterations. Do that for 30 days. They become new habits, and slowly adjust them over time. Hopefully you got some value from that, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Speak soon.